वाला वो लेके आ जा बस, जल्दी भागते जान दौड़ के आ।
ये है ना इधर
नीचे है ना, पैर में अटकेंगे ना। इसको कैसे कल सर का सुबह का जो है फिर से वो शिफ्ट करनी पड़ेगी।
सेशन 5 बना दे। हाँ
नहीं सेशन 5 और ये सेटिंग इसकी
वो इजी है सर, वो इन्होंने सीख लिया है।
इधर। अभी माउस नहीं लगेगा, पूरा सेटिंग ऑल सेट टू गो।
सर ओपन माइक वायरलेस माइक
नहीं ऐसी है कितने 10 बंदे तो कहीं को माइक होना उनका ठीक है, वहाँ से बात
नहीं
करें।
लाइव नहीं जाएगा ना सर।
3 लोग हैं जब से, ऑनलाइन में कितने हैं पता नहीं, यूट्यूब पे क्या दिखता है कितने लोग आए थे?
6-7 व्यूअर
बस थे अभी आखिरी तक के कोई
17 थे
अभी
नहीं, थोड़ा देर पहले
कौन को बनने वाले मेन है सबसे।
इस पे हमने कैमरा रखा है, बाकी सब पे ये बंद क्यों हुआ? बंद किया क्या?
चालू तो था अभी से देख, अभी पावर है उसमें। हाँ, हाँ, कल अपन ने नहीं भाई देंगे इतनी ये कर लो तो बस थोड़ा अंदर था। हैं? बढ़ा ही देगा दुकान।
नहीं नहीं सर
फील्ड विजिट
फ्रंट प्रोजेक्टर ऑफ है ना सर। नहीं नहीं इसी
पेन लेके आना था, पेन आहे का तुझ्याकडे? हे आपण हे नाही ना, हा वाला विचारता ह्याचा पेन आपण कधी वापरतच नाही। यहाँ 5-5 पेन रखे थे, प्रशांत को पता है भैया हमारा।
उसमें देखो क्या मेरे
सार्वजनिक लोग होगा ना, अगर होगा तो किसी को दिला दे देना, दे देना, मेरे को इजी हो जाता, आराम से करना है ना, घाई नहीं करना अपने को। ये भी डिजिटल नहीं है अपन देख।
इसमें नहीं है, इसमें
ये इस पे
तो शायद लैपटॉप से प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे हैं ना।
प्रेजेंटेशन काढून मग ते त्याच्यात टाका लागेल ना, अगर होईगा तो।
ऑन है
ऑन है नो, अभी मैं फ्री हूँ ना, आई कैन सीट, आई कैन स्टैंड।
वो लाइव कर
कर दिया, देखो
वो लगेगा
आप इधर उधर जाएंगे।
नहीं तो फिर इसमें से बात करता हूँ, ठीक है? फिर आई विल स्टैंड, फिर इसकी भी जरूरत नहीं।
नहीं वो थोड़ा कैमरा में जाना है ना आवाज़ यूट्यूब पे, क्योंकि आपको ये रिकॉर्डिंग सारे भेजने थे यूट्यूब से डाउनलोड करके ज्ञान को
डाउनलोड करके यूट्यूब पे रहेगा ना,
नहीं पेन ड्राइव में डाल के भेजना है।
हाँ सुनते बैठो, बुला ले अगर कोई है तो, नहीं तो चालू कर दो।
बोले यही सूखा कि नहीं वो दिखता
ठीक।
आवाज़ देखिए, हेलो चिक 2 मिनट के बाद जाएगी, डिले रहता है उसमें
15 सेकंड डिले है।
फिर अपने बात बोर्ड पे वगैरह टाइम पर सवाल जवाब पूछेंगे तो भेज देना। है और कोई मनोज, और कोई है चालू करने? रूम में है क्या? वो अपना रहा होगा. ये तीनों, ये दोनों तीनों है ना, ये बिल्डर्स है. ये लोग मंत्र में भाई ये बात कर रहे हैं प्रोजेक्ट का. थोड़ी कंसेप्ट दो बना देता है. इसी का जाके जाओ बिजनेस करने से समझ रहे हो. ठीक है.
अपन ये हो जाए तो बात करते हैं, मेरे सामने सुविधा हो जाएगा.
मैं इसलिए टीका नहीं दे रहा हूँ उनको कुछ किसी को. आओ बोलते सो किसी ने सड़ा मनोज को लाइटिंग बताया. है कोई बुला लेने तो खत्म. So welcome you back for this third session. Some of us are known to me, and some of you I never met in fact. But this is not a right time as it is getting broadcast. That we just missed one session where we need to understand what we are, from which background you are. So maybe after session, if you permit for 5-10 minutes, we can interact. So because you all are going to be here for another 4 more days, so you should know each other primarily, right? Because now you know me, myself, Rahul, Mangesh was there, Vede is there. So apart from 3 of us, probably all of us should know each other because we have to stay and then we have to build something. What our director has also said, that we need to come up with a common understanding that we really need to wish to work into this particular area of decarbonization. So we look forward for good networking. So primary objective is for all about how do we develop a network in this particular core area. In earlier 2 sessions, actually my session was second, wherein sir has already given you brief idea about global scenario. How about the Indian scenario? That is again a concern, and we are really struggling very hard. Vedi madam, she was one of the scholars who started working in VNIT, where we started doing something on carbon footprint accounting. And since then, still we are struggling very hard to get the real life data. Again, the challenge is, what is the emission data? How do these manufacturers, they set their own emission goals? That itself is challenging in Indian market, but still we need to figure out how do we come up. Most of the industries, they are streamlined. If I talk about one of the biggest industry known as Godrej, right? And Godrej, they are also into the construction domain. So they have their own particular defined way of doing the business of carbon footprint accounting. However, all these small players, they are not aware. And again, our wish, because we are now into the era of more and more digital tools. So if we can come up with some good calculator, that itself will help to the community or to the builders to reach out to the best or the appropriate material. So that is the whole objective. How do we look forward for Indian scenarios as far as decarbonization is concerned? I do not know how many of the delegates they are available online, but still, as this is a good number, around more than 15 we have the students or the delegates. So we can interact. Where do we lie? Because I know some of you are from different backgrounds, so it's not only the cement what I look forward. So it's all about solid materials. Again, when you come back to the decarbonization in construction sector, so normally my classes start, what are all the resources which you normally use in construction? And the answer, because the time is very short, so I need to give the answer. I said it's only the water, material and energy, right? And what, since beginning sir was insisting more on energy as well as material. However, water was kept silent. And oftenly I ask, I can see some of the executors, like the people who actually execute. So contracting team is here. Normally, if I ask per unit area, how much amount of water do you require, either for concrete, for masonry? Right now, there are no standard benchmarks, because even if I look into the Indian market, we have different climatic zones. And if I look only even for Nagpur, where you have multiple seasons, say summer, winter, rainy season. Now the challenge is I cannot have same amount of curing throughout the year for the same amount of or the same work. Now this is what the challenge in Indian market is, and how do we improvise on these particular skill sets? That is what the concern is, and that's why probably we have started last 4 or 5 years back. We have started shifting towards more and more utilization of better technologies or rapid construction technologies which are factory made, wherein everything is within my factory. I can control the utilization of resources, from where am I fetching these particular resources, and based on the amount of resource what I am utilizing, primarily we can figure out that what is its footprint. Like again, if I simply talk about water, because that is one of the sectors which we have not touched till since morning, so that is why I am more concerned. I have one of my scholars who is also into the business, so he's doing part-time PhD. He will be giving you hands-on session. Recently we have published one paper which talks about when I start designing the same concrete, like same grade of concrete with different technologies, how the water footprint gets altered, right? So it is, be it a water, be it a material, and be it you can say on the energy part. Say now again only for water if I am concerned, why I am again focusing water, because that is not again highlighted. So it's not about the amount of resource, but how do I draw that amount of water from the particular, either you say well or groundwater. So again pumping is required. So primarily it is energy and water which comes together, which will account for the particular footprint. Now let's get into the primary aspect, because we all, or majority of us, are right now working into the Indian market, either at research level, or you need to guide some students, or maybe if I am giving some type of consultancy. We have done some consultancy for Indian scenarios where we are talking about reuse of plastic. So there are plastic shredding companies in Nagpur who are looking for some kind of footprint, because when I have to sell my entire company to another company, so again, as we know, if I am starting any particular project, the first and foremost requirement is your environmental clearance, right? So the moment I say environmental clearance, so very similar to that, if I have established company or a manufacturing unit, and if I have to sell it to someone, now this is becoming a mandate where I say that what kind of footprint this entire unit is generating, and those are all the areas where we need to focus from Indian market. What is decarbonization or in Indian construction sector? So some of the fact sheets or the data what I have taken from net, it's only I am bringing it in front of you, wherein the target for India is quite long. By that time, I hope all of us will exhaust. So I am saying 2070, right? So right now we are in 2025. So another, you can say 40 plus 45 years, right? Normally our you can say life cycle assessment is for 35 years maximum. So that is how I just try to assess that what are we at. So primarily right now the emissions what we are trying to control is to a level of 30 to 35%. However, by 2070 the target is it should be net zero. And now in Indian market we need to focus that what is net zero, how are we trying to focus on this particular aspect. So again and again the two aspects what earlier you can say the Anil sir has also focused on, I'll only focus on the major terms. So either it is operational emission and embodied emission. So in Indian market, let us make it very, very simple, because on global scale, you saw there are so many benchmarks available. In India, there are few players who are actually working into this domain. So those domains also I'll highlight, but let us make our particular goal very systematic. I am also sustainability coordinator for VNIT, where we try to assess what is the footprint of our institute. So primarily for that, again, we are now going one step ahead, where IIT Mumbai is one of the centers where they are the masters into this particular domain. So we are trying to have some collaboration with them where you try to assess your campuses, and all of us or majority of us belong to some of the other academic institute, and I hope all of you are aware about NIRF ranking. Right. So in ranking now, this term is coming up in a bigger way where you are going to get some marks for that, and that is how probably we need to focus more on the operational emissions. How can we control it, right? And then at the end you come up with the embodied emissions, what earlier speaker has also talked about, that how much amount of energy do you require for manufacturing a particular product. Now when you look for the operational energy, so I hope some of you are aware about, or you must be aware that what this current government is doing in India. So let us talk, how can I reduce the demand for energy, or how can I control the demand for energy based on the conventional sources. So primarily one is obviously you can go for renewable energy, and we know what kind of economic model this government is setting for all of us. If it is at domestic, there are certain different norms. If it is at industrial level, there are certain different norms. But primarily right now, if I say, if you want to have solar energy in your home, obviously government is giving some kind of incentives. Very simple, right? Subsidies, exactly. So that is what I want to bring it, that this is not something very different, what only like something which we should learn from the developed nations, but in our country also we have set some very good examples which can be put forward, and then we can really understand what is it. Now again the question mark, because we are right now working on whole life cycle assessment, right? What is the end of, or what is the life of a solar PV? And then at the end of the solar PV, where does that material go? I hope if you have seen the solar PV panels, there is an aluminum frame, right? Then you have some material like silicon based material which primarily generates energy for you. And then if it is getting stored, you need, or you are using some batteries as well. Now let us talk about the simple panel, right? Are you aware about what is the life? Because sir has given, for buildings we do life cycle assessment for 50 years. Let us talk about the solar PV then. Are you aware? 25 years, perfect. So 25 years. So at the end of this life, what am I going to do with the glass which is there? Or in between, if there is some hailstorm in my region, right? Obviously, those particular solar PV is going to break. And I hope we all are aware, glass is one of the best example which can be used as a silica, right? Or which can be used as a partial substitute of silica, right? Wherever you require. So you say you can replace it, or you can use it as a sand substitute or something. Probably only the handling is one of the challenges in it. And a lot of researchers, they are doing work in that. The second example, which is very well set, that can I reduce the demand? So the demand can always be curtailed with the basic philosophy of energy efficiency, wherein our electrical engineers, they are good enough to understand that. And we have a separate session tomorrow where we have planned that we can really do some hands-on numericals which will give you an idea that what do I understand by efficiency. Like even some of the students who are studying here, they are taught something, or where we are forcing them to understand that really what is or how much amount of energy you are using. Probably we all know, if I can see, like there are a lot of people from NICMAR where you have lot of schools, right? If I come back to a very like VNIT, there are other premier institutes where you have different departments. So we never had any kind of competition between the departments or the schools that per unit area, what is my footprint? And that is how the story goes. And whosoever has the least footprint, probably we should say they are the most efficient departments or the schools. And probably that is how it can start working, or we can start working that which are all efficient ways of looking at these particular gadgets, and again adding up that at the end of the life, where these particular waste or the materials go or the product goes. And the third one, where architects, they play a major role, which we normally talk about passive design, which also goes in the domain of Vastu, right? So wherein you try to see that how much amount of maximum utilization of the natural resources which I can use. So the moment I say, like probably for Nagpur or for your Mumbai or maybe for Jaipur or Pune, so if I simply ask what is the wind direction everywhere, answer has to be different. It cannot be the same one. Like in Nagpur, normally the wind flows from west to east, and then accordingly we try to find that my building opening should be in such a way that I should get the as much amount of fresh air as I can, right? So this is how it goes. So these are some of the ways or philosophies where you try to see that what kind of operational emissions you can control, and there are another or the different measures also. Now the whole issue is, if I am working for the existing structure, which of these I can go ahead, because I cannot change the existing houses. So then passive I have to leave out, and then I have to opt either for energy efficiency where existing fixtures I can change, or I can harness some amount of renewable energy where my demand for conventional energy sources goes down. Coming back to the second phase where it was asking about embodied emissions. So in case of embodied energy, now this is what the area where my entire group or we all are working together. So which normally talks about low carbon materials. So I'll just simply read the basics where we talk about sustainable wood, where sir has also said in developed nations like US, they use a lot of wood, right? Then you talk about utilization of recycled steel. So normally the cut pieces which are moved from my side, they are normally, they can be sold or they can be given back to the industries, and you do re-rolling of the steel, and that steel can be reused again on my side. Nowadays we are all hearing a lot about LC3, where you require less amount of energy for production of cement, right? And that is what one of the areas where you talk about alternate cement formations. And even we are working now where we are selling a concept, as I have told already some of the technocrats, that we are working with a concept where we say that we manufacture concrete with zero cement, zero sand, no water for curing, gaining 100% strength in 7 days. So they are all the people who are cracking their day in and day out into this particular domain, and hope they will come up with their own particular philosophy where we are commercializing one of the technologies in local region of Nagpur. So this is how it goes for alternates of cements, which primarily is required for carbon footprint. And then the most important part, what all of us as an engineering students or as an engineer, we all normally learn more about optimization, right? What we normally learn is mixed design, right? And then what I saw is normally the range of cement per cubic meter or per unit volume, normally it ranges from 300 to 400 or 450, whatever it may be for specific application. So you need to touch upon that particular aspect, that how much amount of raw materials you can substitute, where you try to see that it talks about optimization of resources. And then next more important part is, because sir has figured out, you try to understand that getting a material which is cheaper, which is better. We have some certain examples in Nagpur. I don't know if there is anyone from Bangalore. With them I'm working since quite long. We have a Porotherm company. It's an Austria based product which is being sold in Nagpur, and that product is being manufactured in Bangalore, and that guy is successfully running his business, stating that this product is really energy efficient. I have those products in my lab. If time permits, you can visit and see. My concern is, all the way Bangalore is 1000 kilometers away, right? And this is what we are trying to focus on, local resourcing. Because again, when I talk about the pillars of sustainability, what earlier sir has also said, you are also trying to hit social sustainability. If I am not giving any particular room or area of my local region, the people who can be into that particular business, that's not going to be a viable solution as far as sustainability is concerned. So we try to focus more on local sourcing, which are all, or now again, the green building norms has their own particular domains. So we normally call local region is within the buffer zone of 50 kilometers. So that is how it goes, the definition as given by some of the standards. And last one is material reuse and recycling, where I hope Vaidai madam, she will pitch up more, because she is working since quite long for C&D West. right? So hopefully, wherein that is one of the best examples that how do you make those particular products to be reused on site for some of the other applications. Now again, the question mark, when you come back to your whole life cycle assessment, I have one paper like where you can also read it online, but we have one of the best examples of Twin Tower. Hope you all know what is or where the Twin Tower was. Noida, right? So in Noida, there was some illegal construction, right? So because of certain legal issues, the entire constructed structure was demolished well before end of its life. What's going to be its impact on the environment? Nobody has thought of, right? So the building which was constructed for 50 years was demolished in 8 years only. So jiska life, or probably I should use because it's online also, so it's an international. So the building which had a life of 50 years, we demolish it in 8 years. What are all its implication on the environment? That is again a question mark where whole life cycle assessment is essentially required. And this is what in Indian market the need is. Before we go for legal aspect also, we need to have this particular angle before we give the final verdict stating that we can demolish or something like that. More on the policy terms, still in India, if you are involved in a larger construction, probably to some or the other examples, we say that having the ratings for my projects is still, you can say at an, I won't say nascent stage, but it is not a mandatory, it is a voluntary approach, right? Some of the municipal authorities have made it a mandate, but there are very few examples. Like if you see any class 2 city which is growing up, or if you talk about the metro regions as well, there are only few key players who are more keen for this type of green certifications, like star ratings and all. And that is how it goes, where we need to strengthen ourselves on policy framework, right? And I'll show you some of the some of the examples that how does it benefit to the end community who is executing. You can tell me that so many of you are on campuses. Is there any of your structures which is rated as a star rated? But for your Hyderabad campus, what I know, like for Nikmar Hyderabad campus, recently they got IGBC rating, right? So that Pune also. Good. So this is how it goes, where essentially we need to focus more on policy. What kind of, I can say, the support which I can get from the government, that can also be checked. And then this is more important, where we need to work together, as sir is also saying, like Anil sir, at the end we need to come up with some document, if not now, maybe down the line 2, 3, 4 years, 2, 3, 4 months, where all of you can give your inputs either for material, energy or water. State that, okay, what kind of policy formulations has to be there from the perspective that, yes, this particular clause is essentially required. That is how then a policy document can come up for the builders. Still, if I say, because since your childhood, you might have seen so many buildings happening, and I have been asking all people only one question. Like in civil engineering basics, we all have learned that as per WHO norms, per unit or the per day, per person, what is the water requirement? Everyone says 135, 150, 200. And then when I ask about, how about the energy? No answer. No answer for any one of us. And I have been pitching this in all my talks, that this is a matter of concern. And the moment I say energy, along with energy, water is required. Even like if you talk about coal energy, water is being used, right? So water and energy, we do not have any like kind of correlation, right? So this is how it goes, where you need to focus more on collaborative on all angles. How do we pitch? And then we need to come up with our own particular guidelines. And obviously the last one, as we have taken one small initiative that these kind of trainings should happen. So this is, I don't know, but since inception we have been working only in this particular domain. Almost more than 3,000 engineers we have given these type of inputs. And if you take it further to the masses, then only the holistic approach will work. And that is how we are focusing more on awareness and training programs among the different stakeholders. This is more important, where you talk about with the developing era, if we can focus more on technology and innovation, where everything can be controlled within my factory, and on site whatever we are doing, probably less intervention of any of those resources what we exploit or which do not have any benchmarking in fact. So you have lot of digital technologies. I hope most of the cities now have metro, right? And in every metro probably you must have seen there are pillar numbers. So behind the pillar number, the story is inside that pillar, what it has, that is being recorded somewhere. So that is how the story goes, and that is the whole idea of introducing BIM, where you are systematically putting up the data of a particular structure what you are constructing for the community. And then also there are better ways, what is being mentioned as prefabrication or volumetric or 3D printing and so on and so forth. So those are all the multiple areas where you try to focus that how these emerging technologies can focus our particular entire construction industry where you control your emissions. Data driven approach, we need to generate the data for our country. That is again most important. We do not have data. Oftenly we just try to fetch something from net, and whatever it is available we just try to quote that such and such researcher has given, but there are no standards. And then this baseline data generation itself is going to be a challenging. For that probably we can take help of our students who can go to the industry, and industries are always reluctant to give the real life data. That is again a challenging part. We have been asking these kind of questions to a lot of industry people, but that's the real fact where we need to get the real life data in terms of Indian market. So that is also one primary area, or you can say that. Now coming back to the key players and initiatives, I just try to focus on some of the key players. I hope majority of us have heard the first name, including myself, IGBC, that is Indian Green Building Council, who were always primarily focusing for the green building practices and certifications in India. So the end output, I know that if I file my project, I am going to get a certificate, right? Certificate against some stars. However, there are two more additional players in India which primarily focuses on, you can say, either sustainability or efficiency. So you have Global Business and Sustainability Initiatives who are working for decarbonizing the like residential sectors. You can browse a bit and try to get some more information from these kind of agencies. Or you also have alliances for an energy efficiency economy, where you try to see that what is the decarbonization roadmap for the countries like the developing countries like India, and that too they are focusing only right now on cement sectors, right? If we again say that let us stop using cement, it's still weird in the local market, but like if I remember correctly, 5 years back or 10 years back, there was some guidelines that you can say the production of clay bricks should be stopped immediately, and Pollution Control Board has given this a mandate. However, still we have very good number of manufacturers who exist into the market, right? So that we need to understand, and probably this is one of the domains where they are focusing more on cement sectors. I should not say much about green building because this is not a new term. It's almost 2 decades what had happened in Indian market. But here the goal is about GHG emissions, and if we apply, that is being said by the standards of IGBC, if we apply green building design principles, probably you can at least save 30% of your emissions. Now this is how it goes. There are standards and we need to focus what kind of benefits or incentives. Now I said right now I spoke something about the educational institutes. Let us talk about the private key players for different regions. I have showcased here, right? Again, this is, I have Googled a bit, and they are all Indian markets, right? So in India, it is not like government is not active. We do have policies. Only thing is we need to apply it to a larger domain. There are very few examples which are in the market available. So you can say in Punjab, Rajasthan, West Bengal, UP, Maharashtra, Himachal, Jharkhand. So right now as we are in Maharashtra, you can see up to 7% additional FAR I can just allow, provided that particular product is one of the best certified or the star rated product from the green building perspective. One small comparison where where do we stand? I do not know whether it is visible to an extent, but first 2 or 3 columns, if you see, which talks only about India, India and India, right? And now the net zero guidelines, they do exist, which works on the philosophy of decarbonization, right? Earlier it was only efficiency, right? The jargons or the how the words came into existence that I'm talking to you. First, when we started working, it came that we want to design or develop something as energy efficient. Then sustainability came into picture. Now we are talking about decarbonization or net zero, right? Story remains same. The holistic idea is last 2 decades, government of India is really trying to push this particular mission to a larger extent. And if we see IGBC and IGBC, still Griha is silent. Griha that is being offered for the government institutions, and the intentions are clear. They are applicable. There are certain standards which are applicable for both existing as well as newer constructions, right? So that is how IGBC net zero guidelines. And at the top, if I read, it focuses more on waste rating, energy rating and water rating, right? So if we ask any of the contractors, do you generate waste on site? Normally answer is no. They say, sir, 100% whatever waste or whatever construction left out portion is there, we try to use it for backfilling, which is not a real life case. Otherwise, there would not have been any cases of C&D waste, right? So we are now coming up with lot of redevelopment projects in class 2 city, and that itself is a big mission or a big business, in fact, in itself, that how do I crush the sand? So 2 days back, Dr. Mangesh, he purchased a jaw crusher where you just give him any size of material, he will crush it to whatever size you want. So that is how it goes. Probably that where the intentions I am talking to you is like newer as well as existing building. If existing building are there, can I retrofit and bring them as some star rated product? So from waste perspective, from energy perspective as well as water perspective, it is possible with the help of IGBC guidelines. Those guidelines you can always download. So in all cases it is credit rating. Just to have some comparison with the other countries who are already working on it. So they are right now we are focusing on net zero. Mind well, we are not the best because there are countries who are talking about net positive certification. I am saying net zero. So we are minus. From minus, I just want to reach out to zero. But the countries, they are focusing on positive footprint, right? There are very rare examples where my demand for energy is X and I am generating X plus delta X, which is very, very rare, right? And that is how the examples, what the developed nations, they are quoting in front of us, that try to improvise on at least. Now this is by 2070, if we reach to net zero, by that time they will finish net positive. And this is how the race goes beyond or between the countries. This is how again they are talking about net zero and then no CO2 and something like that. So some of the aspects of guidelines, they are by and large repeating. I'll just simply read the bold letters. So it talks about energy efficiency, conservation, energy efficient equipment application, then renewable energy harnessing. Then you have carbon offsets, which you need to assess using the amount of energy what you have. And then you also try to focus on GHG emission. We are all using now OpenLCA as one of the tools, and hands-on, or rather than hands-on, a demo will be given by one of the experts. I think tomorrow or day after tomorrow, right? Day after tomorrow, right? So third day. So there probably you will get to know how to input a data into the tool, and OpenLCA is free of cost. So any one of you can use it for any particular product which you are either doing research or any particular case you are designing or working with. More on net zero energy part. So you can see wherever right marks are there, it primarily focuses on that you need to have energy efficiency, you need to have energy conservation, you need to have good procurement control. I do not know how do you procure all your material requirements now, but in government institutions, we have a mandate where we go for e-procurement, right? Which are the digital way of doing the business, where you try to understand that your procurement is efficient way of doing that particular business, where you compare all the products on a common line. And then about renewable energy, as we already discussed, so they are all available. Also, most of the cases where in Indian system you see that carbon offsetting is still a silent. For energy reduction, there are no standard guidelines. So these are the areas where as a researcher, always our goal is to, can I do something into this, or some of my predecessors or successors where with whom you can connect and develop something good guidelines for them. And as well GHG emissions, they are still silent in Indian guidelines. So coming back to the water efficient guidelines, so you talk about water efficient fixtures, then you have water efficient landscaping, then you have advanced water management systems. So you use lot of you can say the sensors which can be used for your agriculture purpose. I hope you know drip irrigation. There are certain sensors which sense the moisture of the soil, and accordingly it will just release the amount of water whatever is required. So this is how the story goes with a smart or efficient water usage. And then innovative designs, they are always there for specific applications. Now again, if I focus only on the first or the second column, which try to talk about IGBC net zero guidelines, so where you talk about water efficiency, then water efficiency in case of landscaping, in case of fixtures, as well as advanced water management systems, they are all comparable in case of IGBC. So you can always download these particular guidelines. They are freely available in Indian market, and you can give it to any of your teammates. Same is the case for water reuse, and then implementing the innovation designs and on-site water tapping. In fact, our campus where we are trying to go for 100% water recycling, we have already put I think 100 mld plant per day which can just treat the water whatever we are using, and that is being recirculated for maintaining our lawns. So this is how it goes. This is more important as far as waste. If I ask you per day how much amount of waste an individual generates, again the question remains, how much kg of waste per day I generate? Maybe because of food, when I eat, say 250 grams of vegetable if I am eating, then how much amount of waste is subsequently there? For cleaning of those vegetables, how much amount of water I am spilling? So something like that. So it talks about more on waste or net zero waste guidelines, where it talks about modularity and recyclability for each and every product, right? Then it also focuses on procurement of green or low climate impact materials. So that is how we are trying to reduce the usage of plastic. I hope earlier you must have seen most of the events people used to have plastic bottles. Now if you see, you come back to VNIT, the plastic bottles are not allowed. Not allowed means we are not giving. So if that is owned by you, it's fine. That's why water is kept outside. Even if we are meeting our director, the scenario remains same. If you are thirsty, you go out, have a glass of water and come back. But there are no plastic waste. So that is what we talk about, smarter procurements or the simple way of reducing the waste. Then you talk about reducing the waste generation, as we are not using, so obviously generation is getting controlled. And then reuse of waste materials. So now this is one of the areas where we try to focus as far as material designs are concerned. We have been working with multiple industries in local region, and we are all open in any of your local regions. Any particular waste that is available in a sufficient quantity, probably we can try to help you for investigation and utilization of that particular waste. Like we started working for some rural places in Maharashtra, like Gadchiroli, where they were generating some blended waste of bio as well as fly ash. So we started giving them examples. Then we have given only purely example of bio based industries who are more into manufacturing of sugar or particular rice. So you can understand what kind of waste they are generating. And then probably you have more kind of industries who have secondary products coming out of their particular day-to-day business. So there are waste reutilization. So one of the slides will showcase that which are all the locally available waste what we have targeted till now, and we are still open because still clients are coming up stating that this is the waste what they have, and probably that is one of the areas. I'll just give you a small brief business case where in your local region, if it works, it is good, because most of the time what we saw is people, they complain that how to get the money from the industries to do research and then that is how the case goes. If you go back to the industries, try to see, because industries, if they are generating waste to a larger quantity, the waste or throwing out the waste itself is a big challenge for them, and they have regular audits from pollution control boards. If the amount of waste is segregated on site, then probably they are like penalized, or they are bound to give some money, right, to get rid of that particular waste. And that is how the story goes. So industries are in need of where that waste can be reutilized. Probably till now people have been focusing or knowing much about fly ash, but beyond fly ash there are a lot of industries where we are focusing primarily for medium scale and small scale industries who are coming up with these kind of different materials. Like I gave you earlier an example of plastic shredding company who is in Butibori, that is almost say 30 or 40 kilometers from VNIT, and they are doing a big business, but now they want to sell it because they want to expand it, right? So now only for shredding, what kind of examples where it can be used as a fiber. So those kind of solutions we have given to those kind of various industries who are generating the waste. Recycling of materials, that is always possible. So C&D waste, that itself is one of the big business case where you just have some kind of crushers and start giving the material back to the construction manufacturers or the construction industry. This is again most important part where you talk about net zero waste. Any of the sites which or who is not generating any kind of waste, that itself is a challenging, or all the material which is secondary, all packaging material which is coming up, can I reuse on my site itself? That is what the best part is. Earlier gunny bags used to come for packaging all my materials, and then that I used to use for curing, right? Now I cannot use plastic, right? So that is how the story goes. Where this plastic goes back, that is again a question mark which we need to investigate and figure out, that instead of using plastic, why can't we reuse our own old philosophies. Then initiatives about awareness of waste handling is most important. So still a lot of campaigns, they keep moving in our country where you say wet waste and dry waste. Then you have third waste which is coming up, that is known as electronic waste. One of the fastest growing industry in our country where nobody likes to use mobile more than 1 or 2 years. So technology keep on shifting so fast. So where does it get dumped? Can I use it for some or the other application of construction industry? That is again the important part. In case of IGBC guidelines, the essential mandates are very well there, and you can always we just have compared that all these points, are they defined in IGBC net zero guidelines, and if they are so, try to pick them from your particular site or for your particular project and try to implement a holistic case from the technology intervention, that yes, this we can give the solution in terms of net zero waste rating system. Coming back to the Indian whole story, I just shared earlier, there are 2 or 3 agencies like IGBC, right? Now here if I see, I just googled a bit, and when I say Invest India, right, American Council for Energy Efficiency Economy, then RICS where sir belongs to, then you have CSE India, Autodesk, World Economic Forum, and GBPN. There are a lot of examples like this, and everywhere you can see climate change, decarbonization, built environment, then decarbonization and decarbonization. So it's not only 1 or 2 agencies who are right now focusing, but there's a lot of research which is going on into the core domain of decarbonization. Only you need to reach out that if you are looking to get connected with the right agencies in India who are actively working on the decarbonization, including KPMG, that is one of the companies or the organization where they have lot of inputs for decarbonizing the infrastructure or the buildings what they are focusing on. Coming back, what the IGBC focuses on. So here there are, as I gave you the 4 examples, So either you talk about energy, either you talk about water, you talk about waste, or you say net zero carbon rating system itself. So there are separate guidelines. You need to pick which feather of these IGBC you want to touch upon for a particular project, and then start investigating into this domain, wherein just try to see scale of 100 remains same, right? In case 1, what do I have for IGBC is, in case 1 is all about, it talks about new construction, right? Design and construction phase, wherein on my left hand side, whatever I have here, so this is new, that is green procurement and reduction in embodied carbon, as well as whole life cycle assessment. So this is the essential part, right? And therein you are giving 60% weightage, and 40% is only for operational, wherein if I just move on the right hand side, which primarily focuses on operational phase, which itself is a big industry, you try to see, touch any particular you can say a building which exists since last 10 years, try to have their energy bills or their water footprint, and then start giving them a solution where they can reduce. And I am talking at a larger scale, where you are hitting up the industries or township projects, where lot of inputs are required to be, so that they can improvise, because these guidelines came up much later in existence. And as I gave you earlier example, that from African based organizations, where they are talking about net positive, like can I sell my particular resource to the other community, that is net positive, be it a energy, be it a water, be it a material, which is a challenging part. So that is what we have to focus on the any of these cases of design or operational phase. Hope sir must have shown this SDG guidelines. Now as a civil engineer, you try to say or assess and tell which of these 17 goals are equivalent to civil engineering fraternity. And at the end you should say, I can correlate and say that all of them, they are essentially I can hit. So no poverty. I say that I have to use local material. So local material or local business means I need to bring up something new into the market. So I am bringing up employability. So obviously I am reducing the poverty, right? So that is how it will go step by step. How do you convince in your mind, right? There are guidelines. We call it as THE guidelines. Some of you must be knowing the higher education academic guidelines are available, which are again set by developed nations. So we do use where each and every guidelines is briefly described, right? Zero hunger, the moment you say I am reducing the poverty, obviously hunger also will go down. Good health and well-being, if you provide a better I can say built environment, obviously the well-being of the people who are into the built environment, that will always go on higher note. Quality education is essentially required, where most of the educational institutes, they play a major role. Gender equality is again pitched as a social sustainability part. Coming back to the sixth part, where we primarily focus on clean water and sanitation. Normally for the concrete experts, we oftenly ask, do you have standard guidelines that what quality of water you should use? And then people have been doing a lot of research where you treat the wastewater and then you try to do some mixed design and show that my product is much better. So that's what we are saying. There are very limited guidelines about water which are there in IS 456. However, you can just try to prescribe the best quality of water what I can have. Where one of the examples I can give you, we have done magnetization of water long back, and then we use that water for concrete mixed design, and it gave very good results in terms of enhancing the performance as far as compressive strength is concerned. So there are companies who do a lot of magnetization of the water in terms of to reduce the scaling of the containers, like metal containers wherever they are. Like you normally use mixed design for concrete mixer, sorry. So concrete mixer is a metal material. I need to wash, I need to clean those particular drums regularly. So if I use a magnetized water, probably I get a better result. So in terms of water, I'm just trying to correlate some examples that how SDG is directly associated with what we normally day in, day out we do. Coming back to the energy, it again talks about affordable and clean energy. So we have already talked about renewable. Then you talk about economic growth. Obviously, you create a cleaner or a better product. Obviously, or rather I should say, in terms of economic benefit, we try to help the students or the stakeholders to understand that even though for greener technologies or materials, your initial investment, if it is higher, right, you need to understand what is the payback period, which is a very simple term, right? If I have invested some X amount extra, but because of that, how much amount of billing I can reduce. So that is how we can try to, we help them for controlling. Sorry, at 5 o'clock I have 5 o'clock I have kept exam of my students, so students are calling. So anyway, let us come back for economic growth. As I said, there you just need to understand that how much amount of payback period, and normally buildings are designed. So along with LC life cycle assessment, we also try to focus on life cycle costing, LCC approach, right? Which is again silent as far as this course is concerned, but you can always explore. There are good tools available, and LCC also helps us that this is the benefit over the lifespan of a building if I invest extra amount of some particular material or technology at day zero. Then you talk about industry innovation and infrastructure. So innovation always plays a major role. Every company does innovation. Without that, they cannot sustain. So we need to focus more on that. Reduce the inequality, probably that is some kind of more social sustainability part. Coming back to the city level, so there you will have one talk, or there we have already arranged one talk from an architect from our institute, where she is working at urban level from the climate change perspective. So she will focus more on sustainable city aspect, that how that should be pitched more on that particular goal. Then you say responsible consumption and production. So again I say there are no baseline data. I have earlier said that if you are fixing up in mixed design, this is the minimum requirement of my cement, so that should be maintained throughout the particular product. So same is the case for water, for energy, footprint needs to be fixed up. So that is how, or you say that you are generating from alternate sources. Climate action, again that is essential part where we will be learning more about LCA. Life below water is very rare as of now. We are not directly into that, as well as on land. 17th goal is essentially required. So GIAN. So N talks about network, and in my initial talk I said along with network we just want to develop partnership, right? So partnership is essentially required if you really want to achieve sustainability. That is the bottom line. I can just quickly roll. I have 64 slides right now. I am only at 30th slide or 26th slide. I don't know how much time I can extend, because this session is only up to 5, but maybe 5-10 minutes extra I can just pull, and then whatever is left, I have one more session that I can cover up later. Sorry. Now coming back to the carbon emission reduction development, I was surprised to see that I just started exploring where do we have guidelines. So first is we do not have carbon emission. So if carbon emission itself is not there, reduction strategies is again a question mark. And wherein China is one of the leading countries where you have lot of inputs for carbon reduction emissions, then US, UK, Japan, and then European Union. So these are all some of the countries where they have lot of inputs about the carbon emission reduction strategies or the development plans. Then coming back to the building sector, right? So carbon emissions, sir has also spoke a lot, but here you talk mainly about 30% of the construction or the energy, what we are trying to or what we normally generate is being exploited in our country. And this is what the matter of concern is, can I reduce the demand, right? So buildings itself around 35% of energy, what we try to generate. And this is a segregation, which industry is, so we call it as sensitivity analysis, which industry we need to target from the perspective of emission, right? So I say almost 80 to 90% of CO2 emission is being or is accounted for raw materials. Now here I can see production of raw material. Now and that is how the research started for alternate raw materials probably. Then you talk about non-metallic materials. I have been giving this example, right? Like wooden industry has been totally replaced by aluminum industry, and we do all agree right? All door frames, window frames earlier, which are all were wooden, right? They have been shifted, or they are shifted to aluminum industry, or to an extent concrete industry. So when you talk about concrete, again, almost 78% of CO2 emissions, they are accounted for. Then you have steel, cement mortar, and mostly they are all in line with production as well as transportation. So what is the best way of designing an alternate product? We try to say that avoid the material which accounts for emission, which is very, very rare. Even though if I buy any or if I get a raw material from any industry, I need to transport it, right? Or then I need to process a bit. I need to do some crushing of those particular materials. Then we have to shift to alternate materials. As I said, it cannot be only one material. There has to be multiple products, and how much amount of that product you can use on site, that is again important part. You have to improve the performance of the end products. That is again important, and this is all goal for next 20 to 30 years, right? And the end output is adapt, right? So adoption to a particular change into the society, right? So maybe in childhood we might not ever have seen kind of fly ash bricks, but now people all know what is fly ash brick. Tomorrow you will start getting, or our next generation will start getting the products with zero cement because earlier lime used to be used, right? So now lime based products nobody recommends. Most of the commercial industries I am talking about. So adoption will come. These are all some of the examples. So if the time permits, anytime if you can drop into our labs, so all the scholars who are associated here, they can show you the different products what we are coming up. Although the letters are very small, but here if I focus, that is megajoule per kg, right? It talks more about energy that is associated. So all the guys who are associated with me, they just try to investigate that how much amount of energy is associated with the production of a particular product. In case of whole life cycle approach, where you talk about better designs, right? So better design wherein all the designers, your MEP consultant, your structural designer, mechanical, electrical, right? And an architect, everybody is associated, where you talk about circular approach. In case of circular, where you talk about reduce, recycle and reuse. Then you also talk about LCA analysis. So LCA analyst, there is a demand now in the market, right? So if you know something about a software or a tool, it will start helping you, because emission data will keep on changing from location to location or from company to company, but only you need to do inventory, just put the data and come up with the end results. Durability is again a major part, where Dr. Mangesh is working very actively here, where we try to focus more on how do you reduce the maintenance cost. So obviously again it is a better approach, where you try to reduce the maintenance requirement of a structure, or you are creating durable structure so that there will be lesser consumption of materials over the lifespan. And then also you talk about resource efficiency. So how much amount of you can say the conventional resources you have controlled. When you come back to the second pillar, it talks about use of alternate building materials. So this is now one of the bigger areas where you need to figure out that, do I have substitute for a binder? Do I have a substitute for fine aggregate? Or do I have a substitute for coarse aggregate? Do I have a substitute for reinforcement? And so on and so forth. The third pillar, it talks about decarbonizing the conventional materials, wherein you need to get into the product's efficiency. As sir gave earlier the example that if I am using some particular type of window in US, he will be penalized. That is what he said. So if I ask you what is the embodied energy of a glass, which itself is a challenging question, right? So normally a manufacturer is bound to give these kind of fact sheets. When normally an example which I give to every individual is, every one of us must have buy till now one LED lamp, but we never read what is its life, right? Same is the case when I buy, if I am a decision maker for a larger construction company or application, then this will work, right? So if I say, all of us know Saint Gobain is one of the best glass manufacturer company, right? And then they are aware that there are n number of glasses. I say plain glass, tinted glass, just two examples I am giving, and both the glass manufacturing concept will be different, right? Energy involved will be different, and that is what we are trying to talk more about: energy efficiency, and then reducing the carbonized energy. So wherever more and more energy was used for production, can I reduce it? Like a common example for masonry is clay brick, where you need a kiln, and a fly ash brick, where you do not require kiln. A very simple example, just to convince a client that what do we understand by decarbonizing the material. So instead of kiln, like wherever kiln is required, you need a heating. So for heating you will require coal. So you are just reducing in second particular example, and that is how that is better material. Coming back to the last, where you talk about reduction of operational carbon. So if I create a efficient structure, probably I will require lesser amount of energy for either ventilation or lighting. That is the baseline, right? So this is how it goes for reduction of operational carbon demand. Yeah. So my next talk will be on circular economy. It's exactly 5 o'clock. If there are certain questions you can ask. I don't know if how many of them they are online. I cannot see it here in my laptop. So I can start delivering from here circular economy maybe next class, because it's 5 p.m. more than 5 p.m. I can just spare 5 or 10 minutes. But if anyone has any question, or if you want to share something, you can, or we can stop here as of now and then we can continue. It's like 1 hour 5 minutes, so another 10 minutes if you allow, I can continue, or we can stop. I won't mind. We'll stop. Okay, so before we go, then we need to give a brief introduction for another 5 minutes, and then we'll conclude. So as of now, I'll stop here just to give you the overview of Indian scenario, wherein I have given you some ideas that how many organizations or which are all the sites which you need to focus on, from where you can get some information about decarbonization of the construction sectors, especially in terms of resource management, right? And once that is done, then probably we can little bit go into the details or the depth of assessment what sir is helping us for the tool or the data generation. So let us stop here for day 1, session 3, and tomorrow morning 9:15 we'll start. 9:30. 9 o'clock. Okay, 9 o'clock. So it's summer, it's good time, 9 o'clock to start with. So 9 to 5, that's good. So tomorrow we'll reassemble here, whosoever are available in physical mode, and whosoever wants to join virtually, they can join virtually from their own locations. So I'm just stopping my presentation here, and नहीं यहाँ नहीं है
ग्रुप पे मैसेज नहीं है.
So all the online passive like participants, if any of the query you have, please post, will respond. So till that time we are just continuing with the introduction session, and request all the online participants if they can post how many of them they are available online. 8. So they can just share their names so we can introduce them briefly, because we know their organization. So my team will help them. Thank you. Anga sir. I know I can just name everyone and then tell, but instead of that, better one by one briefly introduce yourself so that all of you will know in coming 4-5 days, because at the end we just have to get to a finish line, right? And sir is principal of Government Polytechnic College. Yes sir. Dr. Rajan, Manoj Wankhede, Sarkar Devanti, Rajan Wankhede. क्या नहीं क्या सरकार?
Thank you, sir. I am Dr. Rajan Wankhede. I am working as Head of Department Applied Mechanics and in charge principal at Government Polytechnic Brahmapuri. It is in Chandrapur district and it is near to Nagpur, about 100 kilometers. Thanks. Yes. I'm organizing one international conference on advances in composition and materials. It is during 30 and 31 May 2025, at the end of this month. And for this conference, I received total 64 papers, out of which 20 papers I am going to publish in Bentham Science, and I have contacted IOP Science also. So I received response from IOP Science. So near about 30 papers I am going to publish in IOP Science. If you have any paper, you can contribute. Here, sir, my students are there. One of my student, he is doing here PhD. Yes, he is my student from Government College of Engineering, Karad. And one of my student, he was in Nagpur Government Engineering College. So he is also here doing his masters. Thank you, sir.
Hello, I am Jayant Janardhan Sare, working as a lecturer in Government Polytechnic Brahmapuri, District Chandrapur, Civil Engineering Department. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Dr. Raghavendra Kumar. I am working as an assistant professor in Nikmari University, Pune. Yes.
You can also tell you are conducting I3 2025. So the networking will be like that, right? So we'll come to your institute. You have come all the way here. So that is how the associate.
Hello all, this is Dr. Sudhir Reddy. I'm a former student of VNIT. I've done my MTech, CTM and PhD here itself. Currently I'm working at Nikmar University, Pune as an assistant professor in School of Construction.
Hello everyone, my name is Chiranjeevi. I am research scholar in NIT Nagpur. I did MTech here in, under RVR sir in 2014 to 16 batch. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Ruksar. I am from Nikmar University. I am a research scholar there. I am currently working on life cycle assessment of a prefabricated building and a conventional building. Thank you.
Very good evening all. Myself Abhishek Raj Singh. I'm assistant professor at Nikmar University, Pune. My core area of research is digitalization in construction, and the subjects which I deal with is building information modeling, digitalization, and transformation of construction industry. Thanks.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Unnati Agrawal. I am an assistant professor in Nikma University, Pune, and I had completed my PhD from VNIT Nagpur itself. Thank you.
Good evening everyone, my name is Puneet. I have completed my bachelor's in civil engineering from Nagpur. After my bachelor's, I worked for 2 years at Mumbai as a structural audit engineer at a consultancy firm. Now I am looking for my master's in CTM.
Hello everyone, my name is Ayush Darukar. We are the precast manufacturer based company in Amravati. Named as Tirumala Precast.
Good evening all. I am Dr. Amruta Ram Joshi. I have done my PhD from SVNIT Surat. For last 2 years, I am working here in VNIT in Applied Mechanics Department as ad hoc assistant professor. My area of research is pavement materials. So as a part of my doctoral research, we were successful in replacing the natural aggregates from the conventional GSB and WMM with fly ash. There was 100% replacement. So I look forward to work in the area of sustainable pavement materials. Thank you.
Good evening all. I'm Akshay Ramesh Bura. I completed my PhD from SVNIT Surat and I did my postdoc from IIT Madras BTCM department, where I worked on extensively on ultra high performance concrete. And for the my PhD work, I work on CO2 sequestration within the concrete and its effect on the corrosion part of the RCC. And thank you.
Hello, myself Ganesh Sarvane. Actually, I am a software engineer, so already working in the IT industry for almost 10 years. But I'm working along with my brother as a Zero Salbara construction. So actually, we are interested in this 3D concrete printing. So we wanted to understand how, like in the real life, it is used and useful for the renewable energy also. So we wanted to understand all the technological details. So we came here. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Sujin George, and I am currently working as an assistant professor in St. Vincent Polity College of Engineering. It is in Nagpur. I am doing my PhD from VNIT itself under the able guidance of Dr. Vaidehi Dakwale. So my research is basically aimed on developing a sustainable material for which can reduce the heat island effect of the concrete pavements. So that is my current research which I am undergoing. Thank you.
Good evening all. My name is Tangerala Pranay Kumar. I am working as assistant professor in Balaji Institute of Technology and Science, Narsampet, which is located in Telangana state. So I am working here as a part-time research scholar under Vaidehi ma'am. Thank you.
So, good evening all. Myself Saurabh Das, and I'm working as an assistant professor at Manipal University, Jaipur. So, what I was hearing that most of you are within this vicinity, Nagpur and nearby areas. So, I came from Jaipur, and my PhD was on geopolymers, that's zero cement concrete. Mostly all of us know. And currently, I'm working on some products. Where mostly related to paver blocks and paver tiles, where we are trying to get this double layer into one layer, double layer casting to one layer casting with a smooth surface, because that's a requirement by an industry connected with MNIT, and they are searching for some solution so that they will cast it in a single trench, and the surface will be a smooth, shiny surface. So let's see what we can achieve. And along with that, we are also assessing embodied energy and of geopolymers with conventional cement concretes. Thank you.
So along with this, we have few of the participants. To be very honest, almost more than 3 months back, where Bhageshri, she helped me a lot for booking the tickets of Anil sir. So everything was fixed, and Saturday was his flight. Unfortunately, till Friday, all the flights of Air Canada were cancelled, and we had to take a decision on Friday. So Friday evening we cancelled his ticket. Saturday was likely to travel, so that is why last moment I hope you all were given the information. So because we also did all these change in one day, so that is why so many delegates are also available online who felt. So I really thank Saurabh, Dr. Saurabh, but he's like my younger brother, so I just call him Saurabh because he has come all the way from Jaipur. Jaipur was attacked, right? So we need to get good stories from him. How drone he saw flying from his head and all. So there are 4 or 5 participants who are online. Miss Monica Patil, she is from MIT Pune. Then Deepali is there. She is research scholar in the Department of Architecture, IIT Kharagpur. Then Sanket Kalamkar is there. He is research scholar in YCC Nagpur. Then you have Vivek, he's also a scholar at Marwadi University, which is in Gujarat. And then you have Chhatrapal Pal, who is pursuing his masters in IIT Madras. And then you have 3 people from IIT Madras, and then you have Abhiram Shukla, who is also from IIT Kanpur, who is also PhD scholar. So a lot of PhD scholars are there who are eager to understand how developed nations are going ahead with the assessment of this carbon footprint. Over and above, I hope some of you are staying on campus. Feel free, campus is safe. Whoever have stayed here on campus, they know much better. Try to reduce roaming in the late hours outside because nothing goes wrong, but if anything goes wrong, it should not be a problem either to you or your family mates. They should not say, yaar, Nagpur bhej diya, or tabiyat ka aisa ho gaya. So please take care because it's very hot outside. And in Nagpur, the best part is you can enjoy good food, spicy food if you are interested. Evening we are not going to meet because you all are having, or you will have your free time in the evening, but still I am available in my office for quite some time. So if you are interested, we can meet, we can discuss any of the ideas or any of the concepts you have, or where you want some help from VNIT, you can always interact with us, right? So I'll be there till 7:30, 8 o'clock. So feel free to come. Inside the campus, you can roam around. There is no risk. Outside, if you want, you can take help of these guys. They'll tell. We have metro. You can just have a ride in metro. Nagpur darshan kar lijiye. So that is one of the best part. Very safe till 10 p.m. Even night 2 o'clock also, if you go around, it's safe. There's no problem. But why to take risk, right? Early morning, it's good. You can enjoy our ground, or now because students. I'm having trouble hearing you. Could you repeat that? What is he saying? So we'll meet again tomorrow 9 o'clock, right? So please be here or please join online so that we can continue with day 2 sessions, right? And final, you have to not clear, but you have to appear for the exam. So please listen to all the sessions because parallelly there are one or two guys after in between every session, they are just recording some certain statements and preparing a questionnaire for all of you. So be ready for that. Then only you will get certificate. That is a mandate not of us, but the National GAN coordinator from IIT Hyderabad. So we have to work as per their particular instructions, right? Okay, then see you tomorrow in the morning, right? And take care and take proper rest because all of you, all the way you have traveled from different places. See you tomorrow morning. He एवढे कसे आले? नाही माझी आता परीक्षा आहे. मी तुम्हाला कॉल करतो. मी आहे ऑफिसमध्ये आहे मग उद्या आरामात उद्या बोलतो. उद्या बोलू किंवा परवा आरामात बोलू. परवा मी मुंबईला आहे तर परवा मला इथे नाही राहणार मी. परवा माझी दिवसभर 4 वाजेपर्यंत मीटिंग आहे. एअरपोर्टला पोहोचल्यावर तुम्हाला फोन करतो. नाही तर आपण व्हॉट्सअप करू. वो कुछ तो भी भेजना है बोले ना हैदराबाद रिकॉर्डिंग ये सगळ्यात शेवटी. ये देखो ये मंगेश का है. ये मंगेश को रिटर्न करना था. ती कुठे गेली? गई घर गई.